Welcome back to the Coach Emery Show. I am your host, Coach Emery, aka Emery McMillan. And today I have with me Camille and Telicia, the intentional goddess. She is a super dope individual. As I always say, if you don't know this person, by the end of the show, you're gonna wish you did, and you're gonna be glad that you got to listen in and see what's going on. I want Camille to introduce herself, and then I want to jump in with a bunch of questions like I always do.
Oh my goodness. Hi. Thank you for having me on the show today, Coach Emery. I'm Camille Telicia, and I hate introducing myself, but no problem. I'll do my best. Uh, I am the intentional goddess. What I do inside of that, I am a leadership and life design strategist. So I support, I'm going to say right now, high achieving women, feminine leaders, and entrepreneurs in really strategically designing lives and businesses that are in alignment with who they are and what they ultimately want for themselves. The reason I hesitated is because I don't just exclusively work with women, but I focus mostly on women. But I do have a couple male clients, so there's that. In addition to that, I am the founder and host of the Total Abundance Summit, which Coach Emery was a part of last year. Next one is coming up December this year, 2022. And I'm the host of the I Goddess Tings podcast as well. And I also do systems automation, platform, CRM build outs too. So do a little bit of that's the techie side of the intentional goddess.
Wow.
There's probably more things that I do, but I think I'm go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like I know some more things that you do, but I'm not gonna put
I'm
you
an
on blast
author.
though. I'm not gonna put you on blast. I'm gonna let you just stick with those 7, 8 things.
Thanks.
So, all right. So tell me a little bit about just as an entrepreneur, right? You sound like you do a lot of things.
Mhm.
Tell me about how you knew that this journey was for you. Like, what made you realize that this journey was for you? Well,
Hmm.
wait. Let me back up first.
Okay. Okay.
Where you from?
I don't know why that made me laugh.
Yeah, where you from?
I'm originally from upstate New York.
Mhm.
Shout out
But what sets you claim?
I'm about to get into it. Okay. I am from the Capital District region of New York, Albany, Schenectady. Well, I mean, I grew up in like the Schenectady, Guilderland area. Shout out to the 518. That was not, don't look at those numbers, y'all. I don't know what I just threw up in my hands. Yeah, so originally from upstate New York, but I have lived in Atlanta now for a little over 20 years. So I kind of claim both.
Okay.
Mostly New York. Mostly New York, though.
Okay. If you had to live in one, like for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Atlanta. I cannot stand the cold. I can't.
Okay.
I can't. Even I keep the heater on in my house in the summertime.
Okay. So we know who got the bread, you know what I'm saying? Um so I want to know more about you, the intentional goddess part, right? What does that mean? And what does that represent to you?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. So, what does the intentional goddess mean per se? Is that
Hmm.
the first part of that question? Ooh, so the intentional goddess, it really came about from a, I mean, my spiritual journey, I think is an ongoing thing. So I'm not gonna say like, oh, it was this one journey, but I did have this experience where the business coaching company that I was doing, which was just under my name, Camille Telicia, it wasn't really doing what it needed to do. Honestly, like I wasn't really moving in alignment, and so I decided I was just gonna like pause for a moment, and I went to this, it was a convention for this women's empowerment group that I was in, and we were in oh my goodness, I'm totally blanking on the name, but it's in South Carolina. It's home of where the Gullah Geechee people oh, oh my gosh, I cannot think of the name right. This is so sad because it was so important. Anyways, I had a whole like just experience while I was out there, and on the drive back home, the whole thing came to me like it was about doing things with intention, creating things with intention. And originally, what it was initially was like, oh, I'm gonna make bracelets and waist beads and in like bless them and infuse them with intentions for women, so that when they wear them, not only is it just like physically representing something, but there's some spiritual, energetic aspect to it as well. So I started with that, then started creating like group experiences for women and, meditation groups and manifestation groups. And inside of that, I was attracting women entrepreneurs because that's all, I mean, like business, I love business. I feel like I have a very strategic business mind in a sense. And so, of course, I'm attracting who I am. And so I got to step back into that space of talking about business, but from a more, hmm, substantial space. Like, so I also got to talk about spirituality, also talking about business, personal development and leadership development, and, just like staying tapped in and connected with your femininity. And so it just really
Right.
naturally evolved into this space where I could not only still be the goddess, be the flowy, feminine, divine being that I am, but still be intentional with everything. So business stuff, I was still I don't really do the waist beads as much anymore, but really focusing on the inner development of women and us standing and owning our power in a feminine way. So that's kind of what the intentional goddess has evolved into. But it really started out as waist beads and bracelets with intentions.
So wait, that's cool because I mean, there's more I'm going to get into about that, but that's cool because I think that that's where a lot of people start. They start the journey there, right? With the bracelets, the waist beads, and
Yeah.
like the different things that represent the journey,
Yeah.
not knowing how deep the journey really is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I first got into my journey, just becoming spiritually aware
Absolutely.
of everything, it was an interesting space because I'm like, all right, I got to get me a crystal. I got to get it, all these things. I got to get this stuff, but not realizing that all of those things are
Yes.
part of a small part in comparison to the big part of
Small
the
part.
mission, right? So, a lot of people don't realize like that's just the beginning. That's the entry level stuff, but you got to have an interest somewhere to get to the bigger picture. So that's why I think it's interesting that you have that. Were you, when you began that journey with the bracelets and the waist beads, did you start to see more of what this journey was about? And is that why it transitioned and got so big, or was it always in you?
I mean, I had been doing like the personal development with a touch of spiritual development work for probably 4 years prior to that. Like I was in LA before I came back to Atlanta, and kind of, I don't know, I got into the woo scene. That's what I got a little bit into the woo when I was in LA. So I was on the journey, but I think that time giving myself permission to really just dive into the spiritual space, because I was like, oh, I'm the goddess and it's the energy and it's this. I loved it because I tapped in, like I created an oracle deck, like I have a meditation program, all these things that I never, I guess to answer your question, no, I never would have thought would have been something things that I would have created, because I really didn't see myself as that like in touch and in tune of a person.
Mhm.
And I thought that it had to look a certain way, right? And so
Right.
one of the things that I feel like just this journey has taught me is that spirituality and your connection to your higher power can look like whatever it needs to look like that will serve you and allow you to show up as your best self, as your most confident, most powerful self, in whatever you do, right? Like it doesn't have to be, oh, I burn incense every day and I ring a singing bowl, and like, and I have 17 crystals in my brassiere. Like it doesn't have to be that. Can it be that?
Right.
100%. But
Right.
like I feel just as spiritual in my leggings at the gym or working out as I would if I was sitting in front of my plants and burning the resins and all that stuff and being in a 15-hour meditation. I've never
Right.
meditated that long. I don't know why I said that. But anyways.
So okay. What is the longest time you've meditated?
I would say like in one straight sitting, I think I've been able to do 30 minutes, but my meditation process has also transitioned over
Hmm.
as well, or evolved, maybe I could say. Um,
Yeah.
like it used to be, oh, I got to play this certain type of music that's just quiet and this, and I have to sit down and be on the pillow and be in this position. And sometimes my meditation is me playing gospel music and dancing and praising for an hour. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To me, it still allows me to be connected. It allows me to raise my vibration. It allows me like it sounds crazy, but it's like my mind gets to be quiet in this other sense because it's just about the energy and the frequency of being in a space of gratitude and praise, you know? So,
Right.
yeah.
No, that's dope. And I was asking because I meditate, and I think that anything over like 26 minutes,
Hmm.
I fall asleep. So they so it's like I feel like I've gone 25 minutes successfully. 26
25 minutes.
minutes, I'm
All right.
pushing like theta state.
Now
I'm
we
out of here.
got
Yeah,
it.
we out of
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
But I asked how long have you meditated, and that was just a random question. But I was curious because you did mention that you don't have to do it for a certain amount of time to get the experience. Can you share with me and whoever's listening
Mhm.
what meditation does for you specifically?
Mm. I think it really does whatever you need it to do in that moment. But a lot of the times when I am meditating, the thing that I am looking for is one, sort of grounding myself, like coming back into my body, I feel like, and not being so in my head or like thinking externally. It's like coming back in. And then the second part is um, intentionally taking time to connect with my higher power, with spirit, with the universe, or whatever, God, whoever you call it, in a way that is like not to ask, but to listen and to just be in the space with, right? Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we think, oh, we gotta like pray, we gotta do this, and like sometimes, yeah, I'll have conversations. Sometimes my meditation starts out with like, all right, so this is what's going on. And if somebody outside looks at me, they might think I'm crazy because I'm sitting talking to nobody that they can physically see.
Right.
But then there's also that time where it's like, maybe I'll just say, hey, listen, so this is what's going on. This is what I feel like I need. If there's anything else that I need, I'm open to receiving that now. And then just getting quiet enough to feel. Because for me, it's more of a feeling. Some people are more auditory. And so they'll feel like they're hearing something. For me, it kind of is like a knowing and a feeling in the body. And allowing that to come in into the space really it becomes available in that moment. So grounding and connecting, I think, are like the two main things for me that meditation does. Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool. I like that. I like how you specify like sometimes it's not, sitting still with the legs folded, nothing wrong with that. But sometimes my best meditations come in my morning run. Well, not run, I call it a jog because it's not like a
Exactly. Yeah.
but I'm talking to God, and I'm literally just trying to get clarity on my thoughts and silence some of the thoughts and silence some of the other things going on. Someone recently asked me, like, when I meditate, they didn't ask me, they told me, when I meditate, I'm not able to quiet my thoughts.
Hmm.
And I told them from my perspective, and when I meditate, yes, your thoughts are never silenced. What happens is it changes the speed
Mm.
of your thoughts so
Hmm.
that you can then hear them individually, and
Yeah.
over time master that process enough to say, hey, come back later.
Yeah.
Right. And it's never going to stop the thoughts, but you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna park this topic and I'm gonna get back to this one because I want to focus on this one thing. And that comes with time, right? At first, when I meditated, I couldn't do that. Like the first time I meditated was really different for me because a lot of people don't experience this first time to meditate. When first time I meditated, I saw colors. I was able to see like colors. I saw like yeah, listen, nobody repeat this, okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah. So
Got
first
it.
time I meditated, I saw colors, but they were like in front of me in the shape of me.
So
And it
your
was like
aura.
different colors flowing through my body.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing about any of the chakras. I knew nothing about any of that stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
was literally my first time meditating. So I'm like, all right, what is this? I'm looking. And as I'm looking, I'm sitting completely still, but I see myself moving like through this flow of colors. It was like reds, some greens, some yellows. It was a bunch of colors in there. And I felt like I could go in and like change stuff. I said, nah, let me not touch this. Let me
Ooh.
let me not do that. So I finished my meditation and it was just like, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was that? Right. And so it blew my mind. It blew my mind because I'm like, yo, is this what meditation is? That's not what it was for everybody. That was what it was for me in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into meditation expecting something, it's kind of like you can expect clarity, but when you expect a specific thing, a specific feeling or a specific vibe, you're blocking out the possibility for meditation to do what it's supposed to do, which is to give you what you need.
Right.
So that's really what I understood about it from that beginning time. And then over time, my meditations got less and less, quote unquote, what they're supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So every time I talk to God when I'm jogging, right? And when I start on my jog, I talk to God, I ask God how's he doing and what, you know, what do you need from me, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And typically whenever I ask that question, I see this black and yellow bird. I've never seen this kind of bird before in my life. It's just a small little black and yellow bird, but I only see it when I ask that question. I don't ask that question all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
when I do, I see this bird.
Mm-hmm.
I have three pictures in my phone of times I saw this bird while talking to God. So it's just funny that you know, you mentioned the gospel music and that's a form of meditation for you when you listen to gospel music and just being able to vibe. I feel like anytime you silence yourself and listen to the voice of the creator that you believe in, you're meditating,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're downloading, but intentionally downloading. It's not something that stopped you and started downloading. Is you intentionally made the space for it to come in.
Exact. I love that. Made intentionally making the space. Yeah. Um,
So
I love that you mentioned your running as meditation because I forgot to add that. Like sometimes just being in nature. Actually, the experience that I was talking about, still can't remember the name of the place. Oh my God, this is going to bother me. Uh, St. Simon's Island? No.
we're gonna
That's
call it that though. We're gonna call it that for now though.
sure. But the experience, like the thing that was the experience was we were at this hotel, but we went outside and it was like this marsh behind the hotel. With the reeds and all that. And it was like being in that space, I literally felt my ancestors in
Mm,
this way that I had never before in all of the work. Like I felt my ancestors surround me, I felt their support. And then I had like a heart opening session with one of the ladies in my particular cohort, and I literally felt my ancestors like right here during the session in a way like it was so but it just like cracked me wide open. But it started from going outside, being in nature, and that's why I know it's like there was nothing special. We went out there. I mean, I think we like sang a song or something. We were standing as women together, and I mean, so that was special, but it wasn't like a everybody sit down and 7 minutes of meditation. It was just
right.
being in the space, you know? And so I really think that there is something so powerful about nature that people forget. And they think, oh, I got to meditate inside with all my things and be in this space. And sometimes you just got to go outside, stand in the sun, just
Right.
be with the actual natural creations of God and see what happens to you.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, you talking about this black and yellow bird. Have you looked it up?
I didn't want to.
You got to.
I don't want to. I didn't want to.
Anytime you start seeing something like repetitively, especially in your meditation or just in life, you got to look that up. I remember there was a period of time recently where it was like I was seeing snakes everywhere, not in real life per se, but like on my internet feed when I did see two snakes when I was going on runs. One was dead, the other one was like a baby snake crawling across the thing. Mind you, I am afraid of snakes. And so I was like, what the hell is I thought it was a bad thing, but it was
Mm,
something I looked it up. And I think something was about like awareness and shedding of skin or something like that. There were some meanings behind it. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I see ladybugs a lot. After my mom passed away, I started seeing ladybugs and dragonflies a lot. So I looked it up and there was some, I don't remember now what the meanings were, but it's like when you
Right.
see those things, just look it up. So I
Well,
want
see,
look it up.
for me, I didn't look it up because it was one of those moments of sometimes like some people call them omens, some people call them signs,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
In that particular moment, I understood.
Okay.
It was an understanding. It wasn't like I wonder what that means. It
Mhm.
was a okay,
This is
got
what.
it. It
Yeah.
was a silent understanding between me and and God. And it was like, okay, I got you. Perfect.
Okay. All
You
right.
know, so it wasn't something I was confused about, and it wasn't something that raised any questions at all. It was more of a gentle nudge, like, hey, keep going,
Got
keep
it.
doing what you're doing. Because God speaks to me directly in a way where it's like, yo, are you serious? Like you just said that to me like that? Who do you think? Never mind. I know who you think you
That's
are.
what
Never
they.
mind. Never mind. I know who you think you are. Right? I know who you are. Forget it. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm gonna do it. Because there was one time I'm like, yo, what do you need from me? Right. And I hear from God in different ways, like sometimes, but this one time I heard God talk to me, like actually talk to me twice in my lifetime that
Okay.
I know of. I'm not gonna get into the first one, but I'm gonna tell you about this one because it's related.
Okay.
So, like, what do you need me to do? And it's like, yo, say my name more. Like it was silent for like 30 seconds. And I just kept on doing my jog, just had the, instrumental music playing, no words, because I don't like to be distracted by words unless I'm intentionally listening to motivation on my jog. And it was silent, the stuff was playing, and I heard say my name more. I'm like, you trying to say I don't say your name enough? Like you trying to, and I'm like, I don't. And I just kept jogging. I'm like, you're right. So I came back and I did a video about like, yo, giving credit where credit is due and acknowledging the power that gave you power,
Mhm.
acknowledging that it's part of a bigger plan, it's part of a bigger thing. And sometimes we forget to acknowledge that this is not just my journey and my desires, like this is part of a bigger picture. All the work that I'm doing is part of a bigger picture that is created by same thing that created me. So, give God the power or whatever you acknowledge as, acknowledge it so that when people come looking for what you got, they know how to get it.
Yeah.
So it was again one of those things that was understood. I understood exactly why you were saying it. Listen, a lot of people got their eyes on you right now. People you don't even know got their eyes on you right now. Say my name. Let them know. Let them know who's with you. Let them know who your team is. Right.
Mhm.
So that was big for me. But I ask those questions because there's a lot of people who may not know a lot about meditation, who may not dig as deep. And I also told the same person, like, hey, there's no mastering this, right? There's always learning in this space. And so there's a lot of people who are new to this or new-ish to this or have lost their way and looking to get back. So I wanted you to share some of your perspectives of how you do it in different ways you do it. And, hopefully by us sharing those things, we can help those people on their path. So thank you for sharing that. My next question for you is a little bit more into what you do along the lines of, and correct me on this, when you evaluate people to determine their, what's the thing?
Human design.
Wow, human design. Human design. I had it written down somewhere and I'm like, wait, what is it?
It's like,
I know this thing. I know what it is, but human design. Can you tell people who don't know what human design is? Just like an overview of what it is.
sure.
You're getting shivers. Talk
No,
about
I'm
you get
taking
you're like, oh,
a breath.
human
I'm
design.
like, just taking a breath. So human design is this system that is a it's like a synthesis of a few different modalities. So there's the zodiac system, not zodiac, I'm sorry, astrology, um, the chakra system, genetic code, I Ching, and the Kabbalah.
Okay.
And it puts together, basically you insert, for those of you who have never heard it before, you go to one of the chart generators and you would input your birth information, so your birthday, birth time, birth location, and it creates this chart based on that information. A lot of that again is the astrology piece. And then from there, you'll get this chart that has these shapes and these lines. And so it'll show you what centers you have defined, what centers you have open or undefined, where you have active gates and where you have active channels, and then a bunch of other things on the side. We could be here all day talking about it, maybe all weekend. But essentially, what I do with that information is I do provide consultations or readings, whatever you want to call it, for reading and understanding what your chart says about you, the basic information, your type, your strategy, your authority, your profile. That's like my basic reading. And then we get into your centers. We get into your channels and your gates as well. And then I have consultations or readings that look at you and a partner, a friend, a lover, whoever, how you guys engage and interact with each other, how you connect, what you create when you're together, like what type of graph you guys combine, create. And so you can just get a lot of information about it. I think the most important aspects of human design for me that I like are understanding your type and your strategy, because it allows you to get a clearer perspective of how your energy shows up in the world, and how it's best for you to use your energy, and engage with others. So just for example, I'm a generator, I'm a pure generator. And so a generator strategy is to wait to respond, right? And so learning and actually integrating that strategy into my life has allowed me to be less, I'm going to say aggressive, but I don't even really like that word. But I guess be more patient. Let me say that, not
Hmm.
less of anything. Be more patient and
Yeah.
be more willing to allow things to happen and allow things to come to me, versus me going out and initiating and starting all these things and using my energy in a way that doesn't serve me the best. Because when I wait to respond, I actually get to say yes or no to things. And I actually get to wait and feel if they are actually in alignment with me and will serve me. And if I even have the energy to do them in that moment. And so
Right.
that's available as a generator, understanding that versus being somebody, we're in this Nike society of like, just do it, just go do this, all of that. But sometimes you don't need to just go do it. You need to wait, because in the waiting, the universe, God, whomever can put more things in alignment so that when it's a time for you to say yes, it's a lot easier to be a yes and to be successful inside of your yes than if I decided, okay, it's like I always use the example of my in my sessions of like writing a book. Like I can
Hmm.
have the idea to write a book, right? Like it's not saying, oh, don't have ideas, don't, none of that. It's like, great, I have the idea to write a book, it's amazing. So I'll start writing my little outline. Oh, I could write about this, I could do that, da 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 da.
Right.
But in the time that I'm doing this planning, instead of me going and like starting the book, finding a publisher, doing all this stuff, just by saying I like to write a book, the universe can start moving things around, bringing people into my space who will be inspiration, or who can be resources. And then when the time is right, there will be somebody who will come and be like, "Oh my gosh, you know so much about that. Have you ever thought about writing a book?" Or,
Right.
"Okay, I'm about to put together this anthology book. Would you like to be a part of it? Would you like to share your story? You should tell your like there will be something for me to say yes to that will not
Hmm.
only activate my ability to have not my activate my energy so that I can complete it, but also activate me in a way to be more aware of like what are the resources, what are the things that are available to me to make this process as easy as possible."
Yeah.
So that was a long explanation that went a little
No.
but
No. No. No.
yeah.
No. 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 That went how it should have went, and I appreciate that because I have questions about what you just said.
All
So
right.
you said you're a generator. What type
Yes,
of generator are you?
I'm a pure generator.
Now, are there other types of generators? You said one of the most important things to
Yes.
understand about human design is the type you are, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what are the types?
There's 5 types. There's manifester, generator, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector. So the
Okay.
generator and manifesting generator, we are cousins. We're all in the generator family, but manifesting generators have an extra activation and connection with that throat that gives them of a little more initiation energy than a generator, a pure. And the reason I'm a pure generator is because um, one, I'm not a manifesting generator. And two, my authority is sacral, which means it's from that center that makes us generators.
Mm-hmm.
versus an emotional generator whose authority is their emotional solar plexus. And so
Mm-hmm.
their decision making has to go through an extra process of feeling their emotions around it.
Right.
Whereas for me, when I need to make a decision, it's fully a gut decision in the moment, right? Where
Right.
emotional generator has to be like, oh, let me feel some things, let me go through my process, and then I can let you know. So
Right.
that's some of that differentiation.
Okay. Now I'm glad you were able to tell me the types, because to someone who doesn't know about what human design is, I want them to leave here with at least a basis of understanding what you do, number one, and what that is. No, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of information out online right now. There's a lot of information online, a lot of places people can go to find things out. But if you're already right here, you may as well know what we're talking about while we're talking about it, so you can have an informed opinion on what you want to do next, right? Everybody's looking for something at some point. So this may be for somebody. So with those types, there's subsets of types, right?
Well, no. The only differentiator is like the authorities within. So I guess yeah, but they're not really subsets of the types. It then goes
Okay.
into like your authority center. If
Okay.
you could think about that.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Now you said that you can go online and put in your information
Yeah,
and do these things. Now they can do that on your website, right? Like they can start the process on your website, or is there somewhere you
they can
recommend they
book.
go?
Yeah, they can book a session on my website, and I'll pull their chart for them. They'll be able to put
Mm-hmm.
their information in there, or they can go to mybodygraph.com or geneticmatrix.com. Those are two sites that I like to use to pull charts as well. I use Genetic Matrix to pull charts for my readings, but those do the free charts for you. But if you're looking to have a deeper understanding of the chart,
Mm-hmm.
um, then I would highly encourage you booking at minimum a quick start consultation reading on my site, because that one, I think it's like 45 minutes or an hour, and we'll just go through the basics so that you can have that baseline understanding that maybe you could find, like you could do a whole bunch of research and find out information, but or you can just come and get it consolidated and present it to
Right.
you.
And make it make sense
Practice
and
lessons.
how to apply it to your own life, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Now what's your website?
Intro to humandesign.com.
Intro to humandesign.com. Check that out. Say it one more time. So it's a three. So it's three.
Intro to humandesign.com.
Perfect. So I want to switch gears on you. Similar
Okay.
topic, but I want to switch gears and come out of how you do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, come out of what you do and then go into a little bit of the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
How was it for you breaking into a spiritual based business? Like,
Mm.
how was that transition from corporate America or wherever you worked before prior to being in this space? How was that transition for you? And did you ever have those moments of wondering, like, am I doing the right thing, or should I go back to that?
Um, it was, it's interesting because it's like on some levels, of course, I think with any journey, there's the hiccups, the bumps, the doubts, all of that. But also because of the fact that it felt so divinely inspired, there
Mhm.
was a level of it that really was simple, because I went from this space of being this like, oh, let me talk about business. I'm like really just kind of square is the word that's coming up, but not in like the sense that we use it like as kids,
Like
but
you
more
felt
so
like
just like
boxed
this
in,
box. Yeah, like
right?
this, I gotta be this person, I gotta show up like this, and I gotta be like a
Yeah.
robot, to like getting to really embrace my creative side and getting to
Hmm.
embrace the femininity in this really beautiful, soft way that felt so different. So there were times where, yeah, it was a little bit like, ooh, is this like, I'm questioning myself, like, oh, do I need to show up like this? Do I need to look like this? Am I using the right words?
Right.
But then seeing how things would just kind of align and how things flowed and how it felt right, like it felt really natural to just, oh, let me create this thing and put it out there. I think the biggest issue for me, or challenge for me stepping into that spirituality space, was feeling um, comfortable charging money, and charging like enough money that it makes sense for me to do this. Like, there's this idea that like when you get into spirituality and you're wanting to help people on this level that isn't necessarily like, I'm about to raise your profits, that you're not allowed to charge money for it, and I
Right.
think a lot of people in the spiritual community are finally stepping out of that space because we're
Mm-hmm.
valuing the work that we do in all elements, right? Like
Right.
we know that, yeah, okay, maybe I'm just giving you an oracle card reading, just giving you this reading. But if you take the guidance from this reading and you go do something in a business or your life improves X tenfold or whatever, that is still valuable. And so I still get to charge you for that, even though it feels like it's just this little non-tangible thing that I'm
Right.
doing. And so I think
Right.
of all the things, it was charging the value of my time and my energy and like what I'm doing and what I'm creating for people, charging what I was worth in that sense was probably the biggest hiccup. But the beautiful thing about following the guidance of spirit is that things I feel like just kind of flow and align in a much easier way. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
you got a journey, you got a journey, but
Yeah.
there's a lot more ease that comes with it when you're in that space, and so that's been exciting.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. I like the clarity that you brought to that because a lot of people, we look at the spiritual leaders
Hmm.
um over time and like for instance, there's always some level of money involved with the mega churches, right? There's always some level of money involved with pastoring and things like that. And I'm not comparing the two. What
Hmm.
I'm saying is the spiritual space, religion has always been a moneymaker,
Mm.
period, right? So when people look at the work that people do individually in their own businesses, is like this thing where, oh, I'm not supposed to, pay, or
Hmm.
if you're this kind of person, then you should just be giving this away.
You
And
should be
it's
donation
a current,
based.
yeah, and it's a currency exchange, right? And it's turning
Exactly.
it's different types of currency. So for me, I'm in the coaching space, I'm in the business consulting space. So in these spaces, there are people who feel like, man, you're just giving me information, but it's
Hmm.
no different than you buying a book. It's no different than you going and paying for therapy. You're paying someone to give you their understanding of your situation and potentially give you something that can help you change the dynamic of your life.
Yeah.
That's worth something. And
Yeah.
so, I've been a mentor for over 15 years. I think that number is even bigger now. But over 15 years, I've been a mentor or a guide for people. I've been a consultant for businesses completely free for over 15 years. I've been a coach, a relationship coach, all these things. I've been these things for so long, not knowing there it was a business, not knowing it was an industry. I'd get off work and be on the phone with somebody for 2 hours, helping
Hmm.
them build their business from inception to the point where it could stand alone and surpass that typical 2 to 3 years where most entrepreneurs don't make it through. I've done that, right?
Hmm.
With no cost because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Once I understood that, a lot of these companies, I'm looking at their names on the side of buildings, they do the same thing. They're consultants,
Yeah.
they're marketers, they're, therapists and coaches. And it's an industry, regardless of how you want to look at it as a customer, this is an industry. This is somebody's business that they built. And to keep those lights on, metaphorically or in real life, to keep those lights on, to keep, your software paid for, everything that you got to do, it costs money.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you brought that up because it's important that people understand, like, you're not just getting someone who just like can just transmit the information to your brain. You don't got to do any work. You don't got to take their time or use their resources. That's pulling from you,
But even
right?
if they could do that, it's still an energetic
Oh,
exchange. And
absolutely.
that's
It's
the thing
still
that I've
currency.
really come to start valuing and standing on. Is like everything I do is an energetic exchange. And it's not
Absolutely.
like, it's not, I'm a very generous, kind, caring, loving person. And so me giving you a price is not me not caring about you or me being money hungry. It's
It's
me
caring
making
about yourself as
sure.
well.
Exactly. It's me taking care. Like I can't preach self-care and then and then pouring
Right.
from an empty cup.
Right.
Like
Let's do
that's
3 hours, no charge, but
yeah,
self-care.
no problem.
What?
Or no, you pay me $15 and I'm just gonna
Right.
give you, like 20 years of what I know. It's
Right.
not gonna happen. Like it just
Exactly.
it can happen, but it doesn't serve me, right? Like even
Right.
undercharging for programs. Like I put together this whole program, a 6-month thing, and I think I was charging like $99 for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's spiritual, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that by undercharging, I didn't even put myself in a position that I could show up as
Right.
the best facilitator, guide, coach, whatever
Right.
it is, because I can't focus on this program because I'm not charging enough that I can give you the gifts that I want to give. Like I have a whole thing, like I was buying gifts and creating
Right.
this and creating that. I
And the
can't
night
do
before,
all
you
that.
trying to
So I'm
figure
like,
out how you
yes,
gonna get the gas to get there.
exactly. And so I said,
Right.
I'm not only not doing myself a favor, but I'm also doing my clients a disservice by undercharging in the name of being
Right. And not being able to show up in your full self because you still, yeah,
exactly.
I dig that. I dig that a lot.
Yeah.
I did that a lot. So we kind of talked about that in a little bit of my next question for you. So I'm not gonna ask the question the normal way.
Okay.
Normally I'd ask, what obstacle did you face when building your business? But that's something that you just answered. Well, what I will ask you is, what do you feel, not from other people's perception of what you do and not from other people's feedback of what you do, what part of what you do is the hardest for you?
Um, honestly, putting myself out there.
Mm.
Because one of the things I feel is like I I'm like a head down, like if I'm doing the work, head down, doing the work. Like I'm showing up for who's asked for my time or who's paid
Right.
for my time. And I forget that I still need to let other people know. Or
Right.
like and just in general, like I'll be having conversations with people and they say, yeah, I need this, I need that, or I do da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, I do that. And they're
Right.
like, really? I had no idea.
I've known you all this time. I didn't even know.
Right. They're like, I didn't know that. Oh, you wrote a book? I didn't know that. Oh, you have a
Right.
podcast? I didn't know that. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because it's just like once the thing has come in, like, oh, go do this, like I'm just gonna create it. That's part of being a generator, right? It's like once
Right.
it's a yes and the energy is a yes, like I'm full steam ahead. Oh wait, nobody knew about it. And then there's
Right.
part of it where it's like I also feel like there's a lot of me that likes to be behind the scenes. Like I don't necessarily need the shine, but I'm
Right.
realizing that
The shine needs you.
I have to shine in order to be of the highest level of service possible.
Right.
So that's been a little thing that, it's like, ooh, oh,
Right.
tell people they need to know, I need to be visible. Oh, I got to post on social media. I'm still
Right.
honest. Okay. The hardest social media, like I can't stand it.
Oh man, it's an interesting thing, man. It's like we could being on social media. It's not hard.
Right.
It's
But
actually using it the way
putting on
you need to
social,
use it to build your
yeah,
business is hard. You could be on social media for 3 hours, and then as soon as it's time to do some work on social media, it's like, okay, like.
yeah.
But wait, I want to share something with you that really like flipped my mind. Like a couple of things flipped my mind. Tyler, the Creator, said
Mhm.
something in like a quick 60-second thing that was on YouTube. And he said, the problem with new artists, and I'm gonna relate this to us, but he said the problem with new artists is that they put out a song one time. And he was like, man, I'm still promoting an album from last year every day.
Yeah,
Like it just came out. I'm Tyler, the Creator. I got a whole team behind me, but I'm still personally promoting an album that came out a year ago.
yeah,
That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't, is what you got out there. It's not enough to talk about it one time. It's not enough to talk about it for the week that it's hot. It's continually hot because number one, someone hasn't heard it. Number two, somebody who did hear it forgot they didn't have the money when it first came out. They wanted to get it, but they forgot about it. And now you're not bringing it back up and reminding them. Number three, you're not reminding yourself of all the shit that you got going on. So I'm going to say that to you, and
I'm hit. Okay.
I'm saying that to you because it hit me heavy when I heard it. I'm like, dang, okay,
I'm
I understand that.
hit. Oh my
And the
God.
crazy part about it is that album that he's still promoting that came out over a year ago is actually pretty fire. But hearing it from somebody who's made it already is completely different, because I'm like, yo, if he made it, people
Yeah.
checking for him already.
Yeah.
He made it in his space, in his sector. What's different about me in my sector? Why shouldn't I be doing the same thing in my sector? Why doesn't it make sense to talk about something that has been done? I wrote a book, right? You wrote a book. You got your website. Why not talk about it every day, right? Why not? And I think that there's this unwritten thing with people who are really genuinely good people. Sometimes we don't like talking about what we do because it feels boastful. It feels like, you know what I'm saying? It's certain level. It feels like kind of creepy, like, I don't want to talk about, but you got to. You got to. We have to. It's something that we have to do because, again, we were put here to help people. How are they going to know where to find the help? And they're going to get in that pool of people who really just don't care. That's one of my biggest fears, is that somebody who's a really good person looking for some really good help is going to end up in the hands of somebody who really don't care. That's what drives me more than anything else, is to
spiritual space. That's such a big thing, right?
Mhm.
And not even people who don't care, but people who I feel like are reckless.
Mhm.
Like they know just enough to be dangerous.
Right.
They're not.
And they're not afraid to throw that dollar sign out there
They're not
and
afraid
get
to
it
throw
and
the
not do the
dollar
work for the
sign,
person.
and they're not afraid to throw out the catchphrases that are attracting people, because people are looking for, especially right now, which is why I'm really grateful that you just said all of that. You just poured into me, because I'm thinking about why I wanted to get into the space of working with women and supporting women leaders, because we need a space where women can come together and be supported in a very safe way, and in a very intentional way. And there are people that I've been seeing, women right now, entrepreneurs who were like me, right? Like all business, and they caught the bug on femininity, on spirituality, on a touch of the woo. And so they start these things and they create these spaces. And I know I've literally spoken to people who have been in these spaces where the facilitator or the initiator of the space was not mindful, was not fully present, or wasn't fully prepared
Right.
with the space that they were creating. And so they open these women up, or they allow them to tap into this trauma, this pain, whatever this emotion is, but they don't close the circle.
Right. They leave them there.
Or they say half of it. And so they're preaching femininity while they're still heavy in their masculinity, and they're not actually, and so it's still not authentic, right? Like there's
Right.
a lack of authenticity, there's a lack of safety, there's a lack of community, there's a lack of follow through. And it's like, this is not me condemning, but it's me just being aware that that is not helpful. And I have tools, I have understanding, I have guidance, right, to actually create the space that would be helpful. And so it is a little bit negligent of me to not be putting it out there to make sure that that's available. So thank you for just whooping my ass today.
I mean, big shout out to Tyler, man. He whooped your ass. I ain't do it.
Thank you.
But no, so I wanted to share that with you because, like I said, it changed something in the way I was operating. Right. Yeah. And I love to learn. I love to learn. I don't think anybody's above still learning. I think if you think you're above learning something new, then you're probably irrelevant at that point. So
dangerous again.
So
dangerous.
I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Couple are serious, a couple are not. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna dive in.
Okay.
I have a habit of saying a couple when it's really like 7 or 8.
I feel like it's gonna be, but I'm gonna let you.
It might be. So the first question, a little bit on the serious side, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
Okay.
If you could identify as a cartoon character from the past or present, who would it be and why?
Cartoon character.
Mm-hmm.
Who? I feel like you should have prepped me for this so I could have been thinking about this.
This would be the difficult question, right?
Because I'm like, first of all, I'm trying to think the last time I watched a cartoon. Actually, no, that's not true. I guess there's character.
Yeah. We can come back to it. Let's come back to it.
Yeah, please.
Let's come back to it. Give it some thought. We'll come back to it. All right. So next question is this.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody who is converting from the space that they've always operated in, whether it's corporate, whether it's business, whatever, and they're finding their spirituality, they're finding themselves, they're finding a space. Aside from book on your website so they can talk to you, what advice would you just give to them right now to help them along that journey?
Ooh. Don't do it in silo. Because one of the things, especially like if you're existing community is not that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody, people are on their own journeys. We're all here having our own experiences as
Right.
soul beings. And so if your current community is not in that space yet, and there's nobody inside of that space that you feel like you can talk to, look around. I'm not even saying like you have to go initiate relationships with people.
Right.
But do some research, try to find some groups, find some courses, find a coach, find somebody who resonates with where you feel like you're headed next, because even that relationship may not be a lifetime relationship. It can be
Right.
seasonal, right? Like the people who you meet along the way who help advance your journey, they may not be there forever. And it's going to feel crazy. It's going to feel like, dang, did I do something wrong that they're not there now, but they were there. They were such a big part. They
Yeah.
just have a role to play, just like you have a role to play in their lives. But anyways, doing it in community allows you, like, there's a lot of power in group work in
Right.
general, but there is a level of validation, and not that spiritual work needs validation, but like in the beginning, like Emery,
Confirming that you are understanding what you're,
exactly, or
yeah,
even
no, that
just
makes sense.
that your journey is your journey, right? Like you saying how running is meditation for you, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to say that too. And it's like it doesn't change your experience. It doesn't change mine.
Right.
But maybe somebody listening to this podcast who's always been like, well, I feel closest when I am outside or when I'm exercising, that actually calms me. But that's not what meditation is. Like it just gives you access to more
Right.
ways that you get to be connected. And it lets you see that it can be as unique or as similar as it needs to be, as it gets to
Right.
be. I think finding, even if it's one other person who you can have conversations with about all of these things without them looking at
Mm-hmm.
you like you have four eyes on your head, um, is so helpful, right? Because imagine if Emery was having this conversation with me, or why am I speaking? I'm speaking to the person. Imagine if
Yeah. Yeah. Keep going.
right, we
Yeah.
were talking and I wasn't with the meditation shit, right? And you're sitting there like, yeah, I saw a yellow bird, a black and yellow bird. And I'm like, oh, what? So what? So what? You saw a bird, right? Like I didn't get any of the
Right.
significance of it, right? Versus
Mm-hmm.
said it, and my follow-up was like, well, did you look it up?
They should look it up. Right.
Right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know
Because
what
you
I'm
with
saying?
it.
Not like disregarding it. And so I think that the
Absolutely.
value even in just having somebody who's in the same sphere as where you're trying to go, to have those, and they don't have to be the only person. They just have to be your only new friend, your only friend after that point, but just
Right.
even one person. But try to find a
Yep.
little bit of a group or a community who can just be on the path with you. I think is the most helpful. Well, I
I
think
like
it's,
that.
yeah.
No, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Free yourself up so that the right people can show up for you. I
Yeah.
like that. So you said something about community. I like that you said something about community, but I have a question for you. Do
Mm,
you have a community? If someone wanted to join a community, do you have a community they could join?
technically.
Really?
Technically,
Give
um,
up the
but
goods.
if I'm just gonna be fully transparent, I'm in a
Yes.
bit of a space right now. I'm gonna say like a pause, because I feel like there's some refining that gets to happen with how I'm showing up, and
Hmm.
like how I was saying, I want to focus on women, and what does that need to look like? What does that get to look like? How can I format that? So I do have like an I Goddess community. It's on my website, the Create with Intention Tribe. All of those things are there. I have a Facebook group for human design,
Hmm.
intentionally thrive with human design. So I have these spaces, they're there, but am I as present and active in them as I'd like to be right now? No. But
Okay.
that could change at any moment with
Right.
somebody coming in and reviving the energy, the space as well. So I'm not going to say don't come look for my stuff. If you see it and it resonates with you, what you're reading, you could be the thing that I get to respond to that will bring it back to life in a beautiful way. So
Yeah.
yes, but also just connecting with me is community in and of itself. So
Right.
if the stuff that you see on the site is like, oh, I don't know about that group right now, but I like your energy, Camille, hit me up, because then we are in community together by being in connection. So yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And I thank you for sharing that. I do have one more question for you, and then we're gonna go. Matter of fact, are you good with the cartoon question right now? All right, cool. No big deal. So listen.
I forgot we started talking about other stuff.
Oh no, you probably thought I wasn't gonna come back to it. I was coming back. All right. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna open it up for you to let people know where they can find you. I know you gave your website, but we all have all these different platforms and things. So let people know where they can find you if they are taking a liking to this and they're moved by what you're saying today.
Yeah. So the human design stuff, if you're 1000% interested in that, you can go directly to introtohumandesign.com. I have two websites. Well, one is theintentionalgoddess.com, which is more of a landing page right now because, again, we're rebuilding. But something that has a little more information about me and like my calendar links and all that is goddessstrategy.com. So that's introtohumandesign.com, theintentionalgoddess.com, or goddessstrategy.com. Those are three places that you can get connected with me, learn some things, see some things, at least click a few buttons and links. And then on the internet, I am the Intentional Goddess, and I'm also Camille Telicia. Those are my names on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Okay. I like it. I like it. And thank you so much for sharing that. Now,
Yeah.
based on my observation, I feel like you were fully engaged in that, and I appreciate that. But it also means that you probably don't have an answer to the cartoon question. Now, because you don't have an answer to the cartoon question, you get a special opportunity. Okay. So here's the thing, you have to agree to it first. So you have to agree to the special opportunity, or you have to pick your character right now. Now, the special opportunity is really dope. It's nothing bad. I promise you it's nothing bad. But you have to pick one. So
I'm gonna go with the opportunity because I do not have an answer for the cartoon.
Bet. So because you don't have a cartoon character right now, you have to come back on the show at some point in the future. And you have to be prepared to let people know
who the cartoon.
Yes.
I can agree to that. I can agree. I can do research.
bet. So she's gonna go watch a bunch of cartoons and she'll be back, a couple episodes down the line. But I definitely want to say thank you, Camille, for stopping through, kicking it with me, and just sharing your perspective, your expertise, and what you do with people who may not know and may need to know and may need something that you do. So I appreciate you for sharing that, being transparent, and also being knowledgeable enough to explain so it can be understood by somebody like myself. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you got to come back too. Yeah, this is like detention. So you got to come back after class. But so to everybody listening, please check out the websites that she has mentioned. They will be in the notes for the description for the podcast episode. I want to make a small announcement that maybe may or may not know. This is no longer a podcast. This is a show. This is my show. This is my show. This is my show. I'm saying this because this is a show. And I feel that this is what's needed right now.
Yeah.
This space is what's needed right now. So it's going to be coming to you way more frequently than you're used to, with way more content than you're used to, way more perspective than you're used to. And it's going to be something that you can get really comfortable, settle in with, and you can feel comfortable knowing that it's going to be there consistently for you. This is nothing that's going away anytime soon. If anything, it's going to be coming to you way more. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. The details of what that looks like is coming really soon. I have some really big announcements, and you get to be the special person whose episode this was announced on. But there's so much major stuff coming for this platform, and I want everybody to be involved and be prepared for that. So go over to CoachEmery.com if you haven't yet. Go to the media page. You can join my community and we can just be friends. We can be cool. I'll send you out updates. I'll send you videos of cool people who share cool things online. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's not, but it's always dope information. Anytime a new episode comes out, you will get a direct message right from me. So go right there on the media page on CoachEmery.com and you'll be able to sign yourself up to join my text message list. So I wanted to share that with you guys because there's a lot of changes coming, a lot of major things happening. If you're watching this episode, that means that all last week, there were 4 episodes Monday through Thursday. I'm not going to tell you too much, but pay attention to the pattern because something major is happening right now. So I want y'all to know that I appreciate y'all for rocking with me as long as y'all have, checking out this episode, showing love to Telicia, Camille, whatever you want to call yourself today, to Camille, and rocking with me. So as always, I do want to say to y'all, be dope and be great. Peace.
Bye, y'all.